Like, you are so tall, you will throw droplet on me and nobody can throw droplet at you. It is not physically possible. But why you are taking, and you are a micro voice, I said. You know the size of a virus is size of this. So why you are wearing mask? Then he says government orders. And you are a scientist, you should challenge the government. So what happens is, we may be that type of society, like we don't challenge authority. So government is authority. In most of the societies, Asian societies, African society, I don't know what African, but the head of the family is final. So when you leave the family also, the government takes the place of head of the family. You can't question. I mean, this is my personality. So I was not a good child. I can keep questioning my father. I could keep questioning the government. I say, as a scientist, it is your duty to advise the government.
I mean, for me, it's a matter of what society you want to live in. Would you consider India a democracy?
It is democracy on paper. It is democracy, but I feel democracy has to be, it should start from the family. Like you give freedom to your family members, to your child. You can communicate with them, get the ideas. Then only you can have a vibrant democracy. If you are accustomed to authority, I think in the family, if you are accustomed to authority, I am not saying he rebel unnecessarily. He was saying that his son is rebelling against him. I said, if there's a proper reason, as a head of the family, if you can reason with your child, and if you may change your opinion if that child convinces you, then I think you can become a better citizen for a democracy.
For me, also, it's I think if you cannot challenge authority, if there's no room for debate, there's a risk that you don't do the best decisions.
Yeah.
Because you don't consider all perspectives.
That's I keep a quote of Napoleon Bonaparte on my table. Napoleon Bonaparte said that the people to fear are not those who disagree with you, but those who disagree with you but are too afraid to tell you so.
Yes.
So, unfortunately, many leaders brought up in that authoritarian mold take disagreement as a disrespect. We shouldn't be like that. So I think it all adds up.
I wonder, I mean, we have on our website, oval.media, we have a video called Monopoly. And it describes who owns what company, and it shows, in fact, that big investment companies own the majority share in most big companies. So that, in fact, all bigger companies are owned by the same people, or at least the decision in terms of investment are made by the very few people for most companies. So this was very impressive to see for me, because it showed so clearly how interconnected everything is. And this was, for me, also a help to understand how absurd actions can be taken simultaneously around the globe.
Yeah.
It gives a certain, strength to an action. If everybody's doing it in the world, you think it must be right.
Yeah. That's people with, I would say, lack of original thinking or lack of self-assurance. They like to go with the group. Because I have seen in my own department, I never wore a mask these 2 years. So gradually no one wears a mask in my department.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
But the next department, everybody wears a mask.
I see.
So they get reassured that he is moving around without a mask, so he is still alive. So
and you're an epidemiologist,
and all this analysis I have been doing with them, my colleagues and my students.
Yeah.
So they are analyzing it. So they have, I think, got the insight. And so again, maybe it is groupthink in a different way, because I am the head of the department.
Yes.
So that perhaps the authoritarianism is working in that way.
Yes, I see. But how can you encourage critical thinking?
I keep telling them.
Yeah.
Like I told, that Guru Purnima we have every day where they pay respect to the teacher. It's an occasion. Guru means the teacher. Purnima means the teacher or some birthday of some great teacher. So when they come and touch my feet, I said, don't touch my feet. Try to question me. Then develop your thing. What I say, you don't take it blindly. I want some different view. So that is actual respect to the Guru. You use your own thinking. So, but that has to be at a larger scale. I mean,
Sure.
I mean, the societal influences also plays a part.
And is this the reason why you wrote this book? I just want to quote it. It's called COVID-19 Pandemic: A Third Eye.
Yeah.
Why is it called a third eye?
Third eye in Indian mythology is a god has got a third eye, which sees things in a clear way. I am not a very religious person, but what about little I know about some god in Indian mythology had a third eye, I think. कौन गॉड था? विष्णु विष्णु भगवान था, किनका थर्ड आई था? Brahma is a god who has got an extra capacity and third eye, and it was something somebody suggested to me, third eye, and it helped me also, because that time I was also having a problem with my own second eye. I had a retinal detachment. So which I had to go major surgery. I have acknowledged the retinal surgeons also. So I thought, okay, now let me use my third eye. So the third eye means enlightenment comes from the third eye of God. And third eye, I also took it as a third empire. In cricket, you have two empires and a third empire who is watching everything in a detached manner, without any conflict of interest or without any career interest. Another thing I have noticed here, why this, you see, as you said, everybody is complying, why the scientists are not questioning. Many scientists are actually getting conflict of interest does not mean any monetary gains. It may be just career gains. Like if I am getting grant for research in COVID, treatment, vaccines, large number of vaccine trials are started all over the country in medical college. So you are getting some research grant and it advises. So you don't, your eyes are not there. You can't use your third eye. So third eye means I am at a age when I don't have to bother about my career. So I can look in a detached manner. So I use that word third eye. Like you're above all that.
I see. That makes complete sense. The distance is important for understanding.
Distance,
yeah. If you're too much into the game,
yeah. And I don't blame them. I don't blame my colleagues who are not seeing it, because they are at a too lower level to understand what's happening at the bigger level. In fact, I also did not suspect. I started suspecting something is not all right when the natural immunity was not denied by everyone. I mean, the authorities, the WHO and all. I mean, it was not directly denied, but the doubt was created. Even after recovery, after 2 weeks of recovering from natural infection, you can take the vaccine. Why should you take a vaccine after recovering from? And that too, a vaccine for which you don't know the long term. I mean, even forget about the side effect. I keep saying, forget about side effect. How much investment you are doing when 80% of the country has already developed natural infection, which is robust, 27 times more stronger. Why waste money on vaccines? Forget about the side effect. And in a country where people are dying of other diseases, with this money could be help in controlling those diseases.
And this book is addressing regular people?
Yeah, this started as a column. I was offered to write weekly columns and in one of the national dailies, National Herald. So I used to write weekly columns, then fortnightly. Then once the columns, I started getting good feedback as well as bad feedbacks because it is reflecting the polarization of the whole issue.
Is India very divided about this issue?
Yeah, divided in the sense 70-30. Like 30% people do not believe the main narrative. I think they did a recent survey. 70% believe it. Because I think that 70% are the upper class. 30% who have gone through it, they have to work with their hands, they see it. They have I talk to my cab driver, I talk to my, so they know what's happening. And I took permission from National Herald, because after I got good feedbacks. And therefore I said, then they kindly gave me permission to bring it out a collection. So this is addressed to the common man, common person. And these are as far as possible with facts and figures.
Yes, we will definitely publish it in our bookshop too.
It is available through Amazon. I don't know whether you get it.
And here are
drawings are made by Professor Raman of IIT Mumbai.
Yeah, Professor Raman, with whom we also had a narrative.
Yeah. I took his permission also. He used to keep making those sketches.
Yeah.
So I said, can I use your sketches? So he was kind enough to.
Wonderful. Yes, but let's go talk about the future. I mean, what do you think, where will all this lead to? The good thing for me is, coming from Germany, is that we have a completely different situation now, because the narrative is dominated by the fear from Russia. Okay. So this is what it's all about now. Since the hot war in the east of Ukraine, the media completely switched from Corona to war with Russia. So, so here in India, the war is certainly in the media, but I understood it's not as strongly reported and not so polemically. Is this correct?
I think it is not we are not feeling the heat of war as yet. But I think we may be facing an economic crisis like Sri Lanka is facing. I don't know, perhaps we may be able to cushion it, being a big country. But the concern would be now getting out of the collateral harm. Many people have lost their employment. Many people have been pushed below the poverty line. So I am concerned about that. Child malnutrition will increase. Already India has got one of the highest rates of child malnutrition. And as I said, child deaths. 2,000 children die daily, and there were some predictions that 3,000 to 4,000 may die because of this. And of course, the fear, people have to come out of the fear, because every day, and I am concerned that the ground might have been ripened for a future false alarm. I would call this a false alarm, because as far as disease and public health, we also weigh the disease mortality, compare it with other diseases. As I said, we have got so many other mortalities, from typhoid, from tuberculosis, from dengue. So, where we are going for a disease which has got very low impact on our population. So, I am worried that in future also, because respiratory viruses keep coming and keep going. So, I am worried about that. We require, we have to educate the people.
Yes.
That so that we are prepared for the prepared in the sense not to again go into a caves, to not go into a caves. We are prepared to question the authorities.
And did your work for the army help you to analyze the current situation?
To some extent, not I would say large extent, because army, again, we have got a very small population. So we have got a very controlled population. The outbreaks were regional outbreaks, so but army, of course, it helped me understand immunology. It helped me understand how outbreaks pass on a small scale, and how to. But what helped me was seeing everything from a global canvas. Of course, it had trained me on a small scale that the same outbreak can behave differently in different people, differently. So, which made me extrapolate it on a global scale.
I see.
And the patterns were very, very stark from the very beginning. If you see, even now the same patterns persist in spite of.
Could you explain, please?
The patterns means the differences in impact. The Western countries already always had a higher, 10 times higher impact than the Asian and African countries. At the beginning of the pandemic and 1.5 years into the pandemic. That means all the measures made by different governments, it might have had very modest impact, if at any. I mean, these pandemics, first time in human history, humans try to control natural forces. Pandemic has to run out. And ultimately now they have to concede that it is the naturally acquired immunity which is making the pandemic die out. The vaccines, if you see the data, it is not very reassuring, the effect of vaccine. I mean, it is quite disappointing at the population level.
I see. So what would you recommend a normal citizen to do in these days? How can he or she have orientation?
Normal citizens, like in India, I am very sure that 80-90% of the young people, because young people move out more, even schools were closed, but they were playing, they were mixing, and children do not have. Normal people should carry out their normal duties, which they should have done from the beginning only. So at least they can do now. And those who are elderly, those who are frail, they should take extra precaution. They may be vaccinated also on the advice of the personal physician. Getting vaccinated, you may take booster also again on the advice of the personal physician. Because it is not like one size fits all. Everybody may not require. Only a person with a higher risk, and that goes in favor of risk benefit. Because a person who is elderly and all, his or her chance of dying from COVID is much more. So even if there are any vaccine adverse effects, it's a well balanced risk. But in a child who has got no risk of dying from COVID, even one child dies, it is a one death too many.
Of course. However, if the vaccine is only working for 8 weeks,
then it requires more research. I mean,
why would an old person need to take it, considering that it also lowers the overall immunity?
That he or she is got right to make an informed decision,
yes,
or be a study participant. And these studies, focus studies, can only be done on small sample, not on mass rollout. You do mass rollout vaccination, and even the results are, as I have shown in the graphs, they don't indicate that they are working at the population level. So they should stop the trial. I mean, these are the even small trials. The stopping rules are there. If things are not working, you stop it. Then do it on a small sample and see why it is not working.
But is the general opinion on vaccines in India very positive?
I think by and large, few people are very positive of vaccine. Others are, because they indirectly make it impossible to travel without vaccine. Otherwise, every time you do RT-PCR, then many employers are coercing. So they come ask me also what to do. The central government has given an affidavit in Supreme Court that vaccines are mandatory, but they are indirect pressures.
Yes, of course. Yeah. No, I meant because I was wondering.
I am using the same thing. I am trying to promote my book. I tell my students that you have to buy this book when you come to me. But of course, I said this is not mandatory. It's voluntary. But it is good if you buy it.
Yeah.
When you come to get your copy signed. So it's an indirect coercion character. So I am using the same methods to promote my book also.
I see. You learn from the
marketing.
Other side. Yeah. It's not more than marketing, coercion marketing.
So that's how. And then there is peer pressure also. And then there are incentives also. That they get some, I mean, all those incentives from people working in software industries, other industries, they get some coupon to purchase something, some gift. So there are that type of marketing.
Yeah, sure. Very interesting. So what is your prediction for the future? Can you tell whether there will be a new, very dangerous virus for once, or do you think people are too tired from this pandemic talk and they want to go back to normal? The question I have with this is, will there be a continuous state of emergency in India? What is your prediction?
I don't think, because people are now moving around. If you see, I got caught in a traffic jam. So earlier I used to get very depressed in a traffic jam. Now I feel very excited in a traffic jam. Things are going to normal. so that's a good sign.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. I also thank the audience for assisting to our conversation. Oval Media depends on the audience because we only live from donations from the audience and nobody else. We have no third-party interests, no fund, public, private partners or whatever who are supporting us. So it's really fundamental for us to have your help so that we can continue helping each other to understand the world. And I am very honored that I could have this conversation. Thank you so much,
Robert. It's a pleasure, Robert. Thank you. It's a pleasure. Just to take one snap. मेरे कैमरा से प्रोफेशनल हैंड.
Yes.
मेरा मोबाइल से. Just.
Yeah. So have a good day. Goodbye.